This is what makes Trump so great.
Yeah.
He's actually the most inclusive bloke you've ever seen.
It truly is.
Do you love me? If the answer is yes, you're in. There is a clear influence operation going with this rise of One Nation. Like, why is it that they all of a sudden get wall-to-wall TV show coverage? What we want more than anything is power. If we do something with our power, we might lose our power. So power always kind of takes the top spot. We are a nation full of Karens dobbing in every next-door neighbour we have for doing something we don't like.
Mate, thank you. Thanks for coming, Konrad.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Are you doing all right?
I'm a bit tired, but I'm doing all right.
Well, you got up, what is it? It's 11:15, and you don't drink coffee, which is wild.
I just raw dog it through.
How did that happen? How did you not drink coffee?
I never hopped on the train. I think I was too traumatized from growing up. My dad's a teacher, principal, then growing up around teachers, then becoming a teacher. And when you walk into school on that Monday morning, you're like, hey, good morning. Every teacher without fail, is it? Oh, not before my coffee, it's not. And I just went, I just don't want to be you. That's my goal in life.
I'd say there's other things going on for them that isn't coffee, Konrad.
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe.
Was it ever a thing to not be a teacher? What was it about that drew you towards it?
Oh, to be honest, it's one of those things, you grow up in the world and you're like, what do I do? You come to the end of high school, I didn't know what I would be good at. In retrospect, in my heart of hearts, I wanted to do like radio or talking or something like that. But in tall poppy Australia, you don't mention the big dreams you might have because it's like, yeah, all right, mate. And so you're looking around and go, be realistic, Konrad. What are you going to do? And I did a short stint in a startup in Melbourne. I was like, man, there's no holidays. This is a brutal change.
Yeah, but you're equity. Look how big I could go. Did you see what happened with Canva? No, it's going to be amazing.
I wasn't even on the equity level. I was just an employee of the startup. And then I was like, man, like I've seen the life of teachers' holidays my whole life.
Oh, right.
I can't let that go. And it's not, if you have the right subject and you're in a good school with a good boss, it can be pretty good. But it can also be not. Kids can be, what's the technical term? Like bullies and sort of psychological warfare is one of the, it's interesting, but also it tears little strips of paint off you every day. And then you end like that teacher that I met at the beginning. And then it's the circle of life.
It's interesting you mentioned that. There's somebody I know that worked in the Department of Education for some time. And I was like, what's it like? He goes, well, who ends up in the Department of Education? People who used to be principals. Who ends up as principals? The teachers who are the most kind of, I don't want to use the word bullies, but most forthright.
It's like the ring of power.
Yeah,
Anyone who wants it shouldn't hold it. And yet all systems select, look at our politicians.
Yeah.
How do you get a career politician?
Yeah.
Is someone who's looked at themselves and said, you know what? I'm going to be great at this. And that's the person you probably don't want to put there.
No, but I think it is interesting because it does, I am grateful to live in our country. I think democracy is a very important thing. I have been in countries that democracy isn't an important thing and it's terrible. I've been in countries where people don't pay a lot of tax and it's terrible. Things like healthcare and law enforcement and stuff like that, a system of justice, all very, very education, very, very, very important things. Tax is a very important thing. But our political system, it doesn't really reward the person who's the best leader. It rewards the person who's the best at playing the stabby backy, horsey tradey game that starts when they're at Sydney Grammar, which is the school that 10 of our last 14 prime ministers went to.
Really?
Something like that, yeah.
And we look at them and go, this is the best we got. This is like, I've been in Parliament, unfortunately, and that gave me everyone's like, you going to do politics? Hell no. I've been there for like 10 minutes. I sat in question time. This is not built for me to sit still for that long with these kinds of people. And there are people in that building, the smartest people I've ever met. And they genuinely have all of the answers to every complex political problem we have. We think it's complex. We have to come to a terrible compromise. No. These ladies and gents have awesome solutions and they've studied it, but something happens between the smart nerds that know the solutions and the people that pass the laws. Something happens between the consulting room and the voting room, and we end where we end. And it's something to do with the makeup of our politicians and the people it self-selects and the leadership games that are played, which is why everyone hates politics. And when that's politics, I get it.
It doesn't bring the greatest leaders in our country. You'd think that the greatest leader in your country would end up as the leader of the country. The greatest leader in the country ends up in charge of a gigantic corporation, a gigantic company, and trying to steer that company to the path of the greatest utilitarian good for as many people as possible. But that's not the people that end up holding the reins or, campaigning and we see on the billboards. And until such point, we need to figure out a way to do it differently, because the direction we're going, I'm not saying that what we do is bad. I just want us to all do as well as each other. And right now, I kind of get the feeling that there are some people in Australia that are doing, for no other reason than just luck, doing better than others. And when there is a division between the people, that's when things can start to be a real problem. But it is uniting people around those ideas is very hard. However, you seem to have, in one extraordinary evening in Canberra last year, where you were raising money for a lobbyist in Canberra, which, as someone who sits on a board of a charity where we have a lobbyist in Canberra, once I learned all that stuff, I'm like, oh, so this is how you do it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to have a protest march and I'm going to have a poster. Yeah. Great, people feel they're doing something. The value is just give all those people who are marching, tell them to give you $5, and then you can pay someone full-time to go down there and go, hey, mate, listen, here's a solution, pre-made. It's going to make you and them look great.
It's really popular.
I've already got on the phone with this person, this person, they're up for it. There you go. I've just solved your problem.
Yeah.
Let's go
back
have
tomorrow.
Lunch. Let's go have lunch.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's how politics is done. And I found what was really interesting in that room that you put together last year of the fundraiser for the lobbyist, the most extraordinary spread of ideologies in one room. You had people who were kind of centrist. You had progressives. You had sitting MPs. You had senators. You had the green hair overall wearing Subaru Forester brigade.
Definitely did.
I'm just saying three things out loud, on one side. And then you had the super Christian hardcore right-wing guy. And those crew all cheering for the same thing, which I find really fascinating. No one's really been able to do that in recent memory. Why do you think it was like that?
I feel like part of it, I got lucky, but part of it is I think Australia's culture is primed for actually a good type of politics. When I look at American politics, it has been, the fabric of society has been strip mined so much that the default political conversation is Republican v. Democrat, names of tribes. How great is it that no Australian identifies with the political party enough to have a name, a Liberal or a Labourer? Like, we don't have it. It doesn't exist. And so Australians, our relaxed sort of setting, I think, allowed, when I found issues that I think cut to the core of what people really care about in politics. Like, I'm always saying to people, I'm just a surfer from Newcastle. I shouldn't have to be doing politics. But the people we sent into Parliament to do the job for us, hey, you go sort out the complex, blah, blah, I'm going to go surf. You good? You got this. And then we turn around and we go, well, something is not working. And so if I'm going to ask punters to pay attention to politics, I know they're busy, inequality is growing, like you mentioned before. Like, we feel like we're sliding the wrong direction. And if I'm going to ask people to pay attention to politics, the thing that we really don't like, it's Christmas dinners, everyone's disagreeing over something, but that disagreement has been manufactured over decades. Issues that are not, they might be consequential for a small amount of people, but that's the trick. There's this small amount of people that are really passionate about it. There's this small amount of people. Let's make them fight and let's call that politics. So everyone goes, oh, I'm not political. But then with my stuff, I'm going, well, hey, how would you like not corrupt politicians? How great would that be? How would you like not to give our gas away for free? How good would that be? And across the political spectrum, people go, well, I disagree with the green-haired Subaru person on lots of things, but we want our politicians to work for us. Yeah, we do. Well, let's sort that out and go back to fighting later. And I feel like that's what I'm trying to do. And I think Australians, I think we just get it. I think they see what I'm doing and they go, yeah, great. I agree with holding politicians more accountable, stop that revolving door between politics and the future corporate board seat that they have, which corporate board, like all these non-executive directors, you're just a lobbyist. They literally walk into the meeting, like when we interviewed for a lobbyist, literally like, who do you know? That's the job description for politicians when they leave office. I've just come out. Me and Angus are mates. Great. You're on the board. The end.
Wow. And until you realize it's happening, it had to be explained to me. So I was quite naive in how these things emotionally can push me and pull me around. And so when I first started in media, I remember getting quite upset at big headlines on small tabloid newspapers, and people in my work going, oh, "Hang on a sec, but that's not the full picture. They want you to feel that." I'm like, "Wait, what? I'm 25, 26. I come from Brisbane. All I knew was music. I didn't know." But the jangly key, it's like jangling a key in front of a baby. Ooh, a third bathroom. A third bathroom at the Easter show. Third bathroom at the Ekka.
I'm outraged.
No gender. No gender.
How dare you?
Sacred Easter show.
Well, screw you.
The woodshop arena. No, it's a third bathroom. Ooh, what's that going to do to our nation? And then 20 minutes of television time later, we're not talking about how no one can afford a show bag.
Yeah.
Because we're too busy going, oh, yes, I don't want, it's got children, it's got weird sex stuff, and that's the trick. But it's not actually real. And the thing that you united people around that night, which I found amazing, was the idea of money in politics. People have been talking about this for some time, and great examples of that being, Clive Palmer just throwing $100 million into an election for what?
Imagine if you gave me $100 million. What I could do with that?
What I could do with it? I could take half of it, put it in a Cayman Islands shell company, and do really good stuff with it.
Yes. Would think about it. Collect some dividends. Keep thinking about what we're going to do with that money.
I would. It's one of those things. The idea of getting money out of politics and political influence out of politics, and the revolving door, as you mentioned, of leaving my job as a person who wrote the law and then going into private enterprise as someone who then benefits from that law, or then being in private enterprise and then moving into a job that now writes a law, there may be shares in a blind trust, who knows, Konrad, is fucking crazy.
Crazy.
And I can't do that in my job. You can't do that in your job. Any of us would go to prison for fraud, but it's fine. And that's not okay. And I think we want it. The idea of a fair go, I think, is at the core of what we feel as Australians. We want fairness. We really hold valuable, no matter where on the ideological spectrum you sit. But the idea that with enough money you can make it unfair, that kind of sucks.
And a lot of what I talk about is like, I'm not asking for anything special. I'm just asking for those people, politicians in that place, to be held to the same standard we are every single bloody day. I was talking to Carrick Ryan, who's ex-AFP. He's like, I wasn't even allowed to accept a free coffee because the optics on that, if a case happened or something or whatever it was, and if he can't accept a coffee, how is it that we just had Queensland, and this one went under the radar because I think they banned e-bikes and everyone's like, oh, what the hell? And so it's like one of maybe this timing, but they reintroduced, like the Corruption Commission in Queensland went, hey, there's some corruption legitimately going on between property developers handing money to politicians and local councils, resulting in bad deals for everyone except the developer that donated. This government literally just undid that. New South Wales has them banned from property developers because the High Court has said this is a special category of people where you can draw not even a squiggly line, not a line in pencil, but a Sharpie bloody texter between government decisions and profit. Government magically says, rezoned this land, it was worth 100 grand, 10 million. Instantly, government law generates money. And a developer goes, well, you know what's a great investment? I give that government a bit of cash. Maybe, and the disappointing thing is how cheap it always is. So when the law just changed, within a couple months or something, the government's already collected 170K. And you think, that sounds like a lot. Well, not really. When they're about to give out $7 billion in Olympic grants. This is the kind of thing that, like, we just go, all I want is the same standards for me that they have. That's it.
I grew up in Queensland where there's proper corruption, like real. And you only need to wander down the Gold Coast to have a look at, like, oh, so the tallest building in the Southern Hemisphere is 14 metres from the high tide mark. Okay. Right.
Cool.
Great.
Cool.
How?
Yeah. Can't wait for taxpayer money to pump water out of your building.
How is that okay?
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen? The fuck did that happen? But that's, the Gold Coast is, there it is.
There it is.
There is the Bjelke-Petersen government and, the after effects of that. You talk Republican, Democrat, and I hope we don't get there, but there are parts of Australian political discourse which is, oh, you're a Greens voter, you are inhuman to me.
Yeah.
So therefore nothing you say or do matters. And in fact, I am free to behave in a terrible, terrible way to you. Or as a Greens voter, you vote Liberal you are inhuman to me. And therefore, what you say or do doesn't matter. I have no care. Whatever points you might make do not matter, no matter how much they may align with what I think, because they've come out of your mouth. They don't matter. Therefore, I'm able to behave terribly towards you. But in that room that night, I didn't hear one angry voice. I didn't hear any crankiness. I thought that was interesting. What is it like when you see people like that from such vastly different ideological, points on the spectrum, uniting around something like taking money out of politics?
It reminds me how close Australia is to fixing this. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me that America is invading. It's been invading for 50 years. Everyone's worried about foreign government influence. The US's culture has infiltrated us where the kids I used to teach at school oh my God, totally. I'm a lot of Netflix.
They hit the hard R,
They hit the hard R.
They do.
And I'm always this is interesting. Our literal accent's changing because of influence. And one of the bad influences are these corporate lobby groups coming in, strip mining our beautiful culture. And what I saw in that room was the core of us, what we really are, who we really are, a she'll be right, go along, get along kind of people that can disagree but can still be friends. There's all these stats coming out of the US being Republicans or Democrats wouldn't date or marry someone who of other thing. Whereas I think in Australia, if you did that same survey, if the section was who gives a shit, most would tick that at the moment.
Let's get on the AEC. Let's get on the Census Bureau. Can I have a who gives a shit box?
Could we? Yeah. And I guarantee.
Or CBF.
Yeah, CBF I think that would be highest. And in that room, it's people both going, we recognize the importance of this.
Yeah.
And because we recognize the importance of this, we're not going to be taken into, everyone has the pieces and we all intuitively, no matter which side of the political spectrum you sit on, the talking points are kind of the same. Corporate media is lying to you. Politicians don't work for you, right? These are these unifying things that come across. So people kind of know that and have that, and they know they're kind of being manipulated, and one side will say the other side is being manipulated. But when we can just put the target, and I think in that room, that's what it was. I just held up a target and said, this problem right here, this is all I'm talking about. I'm not, I deliberately try and avoid even using political party names.
Yeah.
Because politics is complex. Yes, we get that. And in order to simplify it, we create tribes and we go, well, hang on, this is a complex policy, but what does my tribe think about that? And so we just, through function of saving brain power, we just copy the tribe. And unfortunately, that has been hijacked to make us vote against our very interest. And when we strip all that away and we go, do you agree that we should get corruption out of politics? We get around and go, yeah, I think so. Let's do it. Here's how we kind of do it. And when we compare to America, to Australia, we are so bloody close. We have preferential voting. We have mandatory voting. And we are 2 law changes away from literally stripping out the biggest influences going against what people want, like the revolving door and money in politics. They're the 2 that I'm they're the things.
Do you think the rise of the populist right movement in Australia, for example, the One Nation, which I saw the birth of in Queensland, I remember that election. I think about that, and I think about One Nation's rise in polls, and polls don't matter, but still, it's not great. I wonder if that could be the catalyst as a last-ditch attempt, as in the, pull a lever and what is that movie? That incredible this episode of The Last of Us, the Nick Offerman episode, where it's just the 2 of them in that house, and they know this is the last moment, so they hit the button and it detonates all the things on the perimeter, going, this is the last thing we've got to stop it. I wonder if they've hit that Last of Us button, going, okay, if this is going to stop the influence, this is our last chance. I wonder if that might be one thing to look at from the rise of the right in Australia.
I mean, it's the same playbook, isn't it? And I think where from my perspective of just being a regular punter looking at politics, the analysis over the top of the politics, I think, is not reflective of the blokes I run into, mainly blokes, to be honest, that follow me, tradies, and just regular punts walking around. They're not thinking about things of right and left. And when the ABC analyst class of journos will be like, oh, it's a populist right, populist left, all these things, they go, oh, are people going for this? I think people just are back to the core. These people aren't working for us. Here is a self-professing alternative. And I would say to Albo, be careful. Don't mess with us. Look what happened in the US.
Yeah, of course.
I think a lot of people said, screw you. Like, screw you. Oh, yeah, we know all the things you're saying about him.
Yeah.
But you've had your chance. Screw you. And I think People left the two majors because they were just the first line of defense for corporate Australia and corporate America, corporate other countries. And we went, screw this. And I think it's not going to take long for people to realize like a movement like One Nation will go from, Gina Reinhart was the biggest funder of Peter Dutton, right? And so she's now moved over to One Nation. Like, how long do you think it's going to take? Like, as soon as Pauline announced her gas policy, I'm like, oh, great. She knows it's popular. She's smart enough to know it's popular. Let's go. Let's do this. Where does she announce it? At a gas conference. Do you think they would have given her the stage as a plenary speaker if she was going to say, pay us what you owe us, you bludgers, and you're going to hate this?
Yeah.
No. They're going to let her on because they've helped draft the policy. And so I think it's not going to take, I don't think it's going to take long for people to look at voting records and go, is this a new t-shirt on the same corporate vested interest that is, those corporate vested interests are doing better than ever. We are not. We are looking for someone to flip the table over.
Yeah.
And if these major parties want to keep winning, they're going to have to start doing what we want them to do.
You mentioned the guys that follow you. That interact with you on the street and stuff like that, where you are in Newcastle. What is your experience of being a teacher? How does that kind of prepared you for the way you talk about this kind of stuff? Because as a teacher, I can only imagine, and you're an economics teacher, so by that time it's an elective. People are kind of interested, but you're dealing with the 4 or 5 kids who are hands up all the time. And then there's the other 25 or other 20 who are kind of like mostly checked out. And there's 5 who are just like, oh, I'm done. And they're just gone. And you're trying to engage all of them at the same time. What did that experience do for the way that you shape your messaging now? I
think you've nailed it. Like when you're a teacher in front of a classroom, you have to hold their attention for a significant amount of times, but you're only getting it for like 30 seconds to 2-minute blocks at a time. And so it makes you hypersensitive to how to communicate things quickly and succinctly. And teenagers, I don't know if you know, incredibly selfish in the sense of this is the world. How does it impact me? If that is outside of this.
It's not their fault. It's the way that their brains haven't built themselves properly yet.
Literal developmental.
Yes.
And that's fine. And they're also hyper aware of like social dynamics. Like teachers, like you think when you're a student, you're like, how do teachers not know? Like she's not friends with her. Blah, blah, blah. Genuinely, I come from that world. I walk into the classroom. I'm like, I've got no idea who's on top and who's on the bottom of this social hierarchy. Like you got no idea, but they're hyper attuned to it. And so it makes you really sensitive to picking up small shifts of attention all the time. And all I learnt was it has to be succinct, simple, and relevant to them. And I think I'm just literally applying that because we're actually all just high school kids when it comes to politics. I don't give a shit what's happening over there. Well, it's not my suburb. What's that? Well, Perth. That's far away.
Hey.
It's not really, another country. It's got to be relevant to me, even if it's happening to someone, but you can't imagine their experience. It's not going to hold the same salience, right? So I think that's what I've tried to do as I realized politics is when everyone whinges about something. That's called politics. You have identified a problem and other people whinging about it, you're like, hey, we should fix it, and politics can fix it. And so all I sort of did was going, well, why is housing, why is this sort of an issue? And I go, well, guess what? There's a whole bunch of nerds called economists out there that look at other countries and go, well, this country doesn't have our problem and they did this. And so I just go, all right, I'll be the middleman. You nerds, great papers, love it, but boring. Let me go, okay, I think this is who, let's give it the blame game. Who to blame? What's the fix? And so I just try and bring that into people because people are interested in politics, but not depending on the detail. So that's the balance I'm always just trying to strike. And I've grown up talking politics with enough people when I can see the fuse box in their head switch.
Right.
And so politics has always been that. So I feel like I've got a hypersensitivity to when I start talking politics, I'm always like, quick, get to the point where it impacts you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking off air about solar power and batteries and things like that. I could give you the carbon emission argument for solar power. I could give you the argument of energy independence. I could give you the argument of like, you think the Strait of Hormuz is bad, wait until the Strait of Malacca gets shut, then we're proper fucked. Or I could say, you know what's cheaper than petrol? Free. I plug my car into my solar panels. There you go. 10 seconds.
Yeah. and that is the unifying thing.
Yeah.
Is everyone's wallet. And I don't know, and the difference maybe between me and some progressive commentators or something is sometimes there's that layer of judgment being like, oh, so you don't care if koalas go extinct, you jerk.
Oh, we could talk all about that.
Right? There's this moralism, there's moralization, there's this purity code. But whereas I think growing up in Newcastle just makes you hyper pragmatic. Punts don't care about, they got a lot going on, and I'm just empathetic to people going, man, this bloke's working 2 jobs. He can't calculate how much carbon emission is going to hurt that koala's lung capacity. He just doesn't compute that.
And he's a good human.
Yeah.
Don't assume that because it's not top of his mind that he's a bad person.
And that's the other thing with this version of politics is like, if you don't care as much about this thing as I do, you're a bad person.
It's terrible.
As opposed to just going, how can I bring you as far as you can go to the journey, and I can be okay with that. And I'm actually okay with saying to people, because I guess I'm a bit like that myself. It's like, yeah, cutting down trees is pretty bad, isn't it? Hang on, it's going to cost us how much?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, we get no money for that.
Yeah.
Because at least, I guess we were just grown up in this capital system. Because there's a whole labor to money to whatever money buys things. And so there's just so much potency in the argument. This is why gas is so screwed as an issue. Everyone's on board with changing this thing. Because we go, well, hang on, yeah, it's our stuff. We're going to pay for the cleanup. Once it's gone, it's gone. When you say to your kids, hey, why is Australia so povo now? Oh, we used to have all this mining stuff. Really? What do we do with it? We gave it away for free.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in Norway, they go, oh, we had so much oil back. Really? Yeah. And do you know that investment fund that's doing all these startups we invented, we sent more rockets in. How did we pay for that? It was the oil. We turned it into something.
Thank you very much, Professor. Professor, would you like some potatoes? Oh, we all are professors because we got an entire university education. Look at this, a table of professors. Isn't that great? 8 years at uni. Amazing.
Sounds like a utopia to me.
It is interesting. I ran headlong into this idea, and for me, it's the greatest problem of any kind of progressive idea, is that the right or simpler, more conservative ideas are so successful because the right doesn't give a shit where you lie. It's, immigrants bad, you can come.
You're in.
Like, you might wear the T-shirt with the symbol that gets you arrested, or you might just be a bit weird that your Uber driver's called Muhammad. Don't care.
Don't care.
You are on this side of that line.
You could be Muhammad himself.
Fine.
If you're on this is what makes Trump so great.
Yeah.
He's actually the most inclusive bloke you've ever seen.
It truly is.
Do you love me? If the answer is yes, you're in.
Yeah.
It's a controversial thing. Everyone's like, oh, Trump's racist. I'm like, I don't think Trump's racist.
Right. The amount of Hispanic men that voted for him.
He's too narcissistic to be racist because he's just thinking about himself. You have to think about other people in order to be like, well, that group of people I don't like. He's like, no, what group of people? It's me and everybody else. And if you love me, you're in.
And the progressive side of things, and I'm not that I'm ungrateful. I love my country so much. I became a citizen of this country. I fucking love it here. And I think we could do some things better. That doesn't mean I don't love it. I just think we should do some things better. I understand that there are some people who on this side of let's try to do things better, that it's that or nothing. It's like, yeah, that's a good place to aim at. But just because we can't get there tomorrow doesn't mean we should do this today.
Yeah.
Progressive ideas in our community get so held back by just people stabbing themselves in the side because they're not as elite or woke or progressive or, inclusive enough. And we've got to fucking drop it if we want any chance at all.
Yeah. There's the funny irony is like I grew up in the 90s. And it had this awesome punk rock culture, like the Blink-182 coming through, and you just look at the lyrics of those songs, it's like, if we're fucked up, it's your fault. Like, I'm just loving this, like, this middle finger to the boomer generation. It makes me sad when I see my millennial mates, like, just whinging about kids on e-bikes these days. And I'm like, guys, what would Blink-182 say about this? They would love this. Like, the bit of chaos to it. And that era was, like, giving the middle finger to this purity code that came out of sort of conservative religion that was like, like the puritanism of sex and all those sorts of things. And punk rock was like, we're going to like break every trend. We're going to rock out of music, loud music. And we give you the middle finger. And we kind of like, yeah. And then that progressive movement or whatever, like won this culture war of like, equality and things like that. And then it became like this dominant cultural narrative and set up its own purity practices, purity code tests of like, are you for this or for that? Are you vegan or you're not vegan? Whatever it is, which is like on a conceptual level the same as like what religion did around, you can't have sex before you're married, you can't do this, now you've got this progressive movement, like, we can't talk to him when he's racist, don't associate, we don't platform that person.
Yeah.
And now they're knifing everyone. It's like, it's purity codes. It happens everywhere. Yeah. It's not a conservative thing or a progressive thing. It's like purity codes is an in-group, out-group thing. And it happens no matter where you are.
But on the conservative side of politics, yes, those things happen, but they're all going to vote for just the one person. However, on the non-conservative side of politics, even centrist and to the left, everybody gets solar panels and we're all got composting toilets or nothing. And you're a terrible person if you're not on board immediately. And I think that's the part that really, really turns a lot of people away. And that's what, if we look at 10 years ago when Trump got in, when he was going for it, it was the writing off of his followers as you're an idiot. You're a basket of deplorables. That's who you are. It's like, no, that is the worst mistake you could possibly make. People see it sometimes up in Queensland. They're like, what the fuck's wrong with those backwards pricks? Like, mate, you live in a suburb of Gladstone. You've got 4 kids. You're trying to keep the lights on. This law's going to do what? I can't afford that. I don't care where this person is. I just know that in 3 years from now, I need to be able to trust that it's going to be this way. Tick a box. And having empathy for that person who loves their kids just as much as you. They're not racist. They're not a nimble-minded hick. They are just a person who's trying to get by. And it's so important that we kind of try to, hopefully our leaders will embrace that idea rather than write them off. Otherwise, we're all cooked.
Well, I'm concerned that I've seen Albo start to do it already. He had this side jab at, I guess, the punts online who were saying on every single one of his posts, if you even look now, you pull up those latest posts, tax gas, tax gas, tax gas. So everyone really wants this sort of happen. He gets up and calls it just populism. It's just populism. It's just an online campaign and dismisses sort of what people want. And I think that's dangerous to do, and because populism can be a real threat. Oversimplifying complex things and scapegoating a group of people can be a serious problem in society. But to take something that has broad consensus, not only from everybody, but from economists, but from everybody, and then write that off as populism, this is where politicians all tend to, is what we don't like about them. They put their career ambitions ahead of what their job is. And they go, what we want more than anything is power. If we do something with our power, we might lose our power. So power always kind of takes the top spot. And I think it's sad to see that sort of play out right now. Like, I feel like I'm watching Joe Biden 2020, where you write off this group of people. And maybe it's my Christian upbringing, but you don't know if someone's racist. Like, sure, there are groups of people where you're like, they are racist. They've literally said the thing. But then there's the people you just think are, you just assume are, because they might have voted this way, or they did something and you go, well, they're probably racist. I guess I'm just like, well, you don't know that. Dude, why don't you, up until the point where they literally prove themselves to be someone that you probably should distance yourself from, there's all this massive group of people that we write off too quick. And my philosophy's always been, well, let's just assume the best. Let's just assume the bloke that might have voted for some abhorrent policy that hurt someone else didn't know anyone in that community, wasn't connected to them, was too busy to look it up, was really confused, turned on something, heard something that sounded pretty good, was sick of something not working for him, and he's doing his best. I don't know. I just want to believe the best in people until I can't. And it turns out I'm more right than I'm not when I just believe, like, well, actually, that was just a mistake, a misunderstanding, confusion, they're busy. Like, there's always good reasons as to why people do things. And call me naive, but I'm going to believe the best in people up until I actually can't.
And to write someone off like that, oh, they're a racist, very difficult to accept this, but that is being just as dehumanizing of that person by collectively, just suddenly blaming them and labeling them and therefore giving you permission to treat them terribly as the kind of person you are labeling them as. Sorry, you're doing the same thing.
I don't know. And maybe once again, it's that Christian upbringing in there. It's like, even at the point of the racist, well, why are they that way? Yeah. Has always fascinated me.
Very hard to give that amount of time to it, though, Konrad.
Wait, I mean,
that's the thing.
Yes.
Is, okay, I really, I disagree a lot with some people in our public eye, but I know that, when it comes to a line that was answered me in an interview I asked once about what it is to be a good baddie, it's like, oh, a good baddie always believes they're doing the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I got my head around Peter Dutton. That's how I got my head around Scott Morrison. It's like, he believes he's doing the right thing, even for me.
Yes.
He believes that I'm the one that doesn't understand.
Yes.
And he's trying to help me and save my life.
Yes.
This is the way he's doing it, by
Yeah.
buying us nuclear submarines and stuff
Yeah.
like this. And that's the thing, giving people that benefit of the doubt, humanizing them enough to go, I'm sure there's a reason going on. I might not agree with it, but it's hard.
Well, it's like we all actually encounter it, because every Christmas lunch or dinner, you're talking to someone. It doesn't matter. I've been doing this a couple of years. My family don't listen to me. My dad doesn't listen to me. We have discussions all the time. And they're the people you know. And I think what I've learned the hard way is that today, I have never changed. I've never had a conversation where I was like, hey, here's a really good argument as to why you're wrong on this. I've never had anyone go, shoot, do you know what? I didn't think about that. Thank you. That's great. That's never happened to me. And so what I've discovered is like, I can have fun with a discussion and be like, okay, does this shoot through your logic? Does this shoot through your logic? And it can often bounce back, and it just sort of doesn't. Like, some people close to me, Sky News came out recently and like attacked me. Finally, Sky, Murdoch paid me some attention. And the people I know very closely, like, watch this channel to get their news. And I was like waiting for this day. I was like, attacking someone so close to you, someone you care about. This channel betrayed you. And I was like, so does it make you question the channel now? Because you obviously, there was baseless attacks and it was gross what they did, and they're trying to scapegoat me. How disgusting is that? Poor vulnerable old me hurt my feelings. And they're just like, oh, we don't believe everything on the channel, Didn't faze them at all. Still, didn't change anything. And I think that just taught me, it's like, when it comes to people you know and care about, you're not really going to change them. Just enjoy the relationship. That relationship, if anything changes them, it's the relationship and then their care for you that will ultimately change them a little bit, but I don't think you'll ever notice it.
I used to say it, when it came to comment sections, no one's ever going to change their mind in a comment section. You can go on a days-long, comment war with someone.
I'm going to try.
It's never going to do it. No one's ever going to change their mind like that. And similarly, in a high-stakes situation, particularly when your identity is at stake, particularly in a family situation where my identity is at stake, I am not going to change my position in that moment. So to stop trying, just show them you care about them.
Yeah.
Here's some information. I believe you're a good person, and here's the things that I know are true. I help me understand about those things over there, and then that's just going to sit in their subconscious, and they might just wake up one day and go, I just kind of feel a little bit different about it. And that's when it happens. It happens in the dead of night. It happens when they're doing the groceries.
Yeah. The best changes will happen when they can't identify where it came from. It has to come from inside somewhere. And I think when you're just chipping away at someone's load-bearing delusion, just chipping away, we go, no, I'm going to change this. It's kind of like a lose-lose. I mean, and it sucks, because I think you do lose elements of relationship. As parents in my life start to get older and they get more set in their ways, and there's certain things you just can't talk about. You're just, let's just not talk about it. But then there's a part of me that goes, well, I'm kind of losing it. They don't know this part of me anymore because I can't talk about this part.
Right.
That's really important to me. And so it feels like you lose a bit of relationship, and that sucks. And that's probably why we fight so hard to change the other person. But I think the unintended consequence is it does more damage when you're trying to do that.
If you're trying to chip away at my load-bearing delusion, I'm going to do everything I can to protect my foundations, because I don't want to fall over. I don't give a shit how much information or truth you've got.
Yeah.
No. If you do that, what am I? I have to hold on to this. Sorry. Yeah. You are therefore, it's called the rebound effect. You've got to be really careful, and you can't label people as much as it's tempting, as much as it simplifies things. And it's identifying that common value when it comes to these sort of conversations. That is the thing I feel has got to be the only way forward. And you got to start from that thing you both care about. Start I like football. You like football? Great. Which kind of football? I can like that football too.
Yeah.
World Cup's coming up. We'll talk about AFL, whatever. Okay, great. Let's talk about these things. Okay, what else do I like? Oh, chocolate. Chocolate's great. Let's identify some things we both align on. We start to see each other as humans. Go away. Come back. 3 or 4 conversations later, we talk about solar panels.
Yeah.
We talk about gas.
Yeah.
If you've got that time. But that's kind of where it has to start. You have to see the person as a human. But fuck, man, that takes time. And it takes investment. And it is hard.
Yeah. It is. I guess the inverse of what I'm saying is there's a part of you that people won't know if people close to you, if they can't change their mind on something. But when I think about it, listening to what you're saying, there's 10 times things more that I could invest in and grow that relationship is on the other side, the things we sort of have in common, and then kind of get to those values. And we've all been in those conversations where you're like trying to go, okay, let's not talk about this. Let's build this up. And because it's like, we're so separated now, we're not connected as much anymore. You know what you are connected by? Bloody kids on e-bikes riding around. Yeah, actually, like the world's scary as you get older, right? And if you're watching the news, it's even scarier.
Yeah.
Like we were traveling for a little bit and the calls we get, so every time you're like, there's a volcano there. I'm like, yeah, we're like 500 k's away from that. Okay, but there's a, and they're watching this scary thing, and I'm walking around South America going, I feel safe enough. Seems okay. And it's that world that they're handed with this news machine kind of feels like it stole a little bit of, I don't know, a generation from us, and it's harder to connect now, and we have to avoid, like, now I'm very mindful of, like, don't mention these keywords, don't mention climate, don't mention this, don't mention albo, don't mention, like, all of these words, because they've been set up as little landmines to create little cultural, political divisions. And it takes a lot of work to sort of either not take the bait, because that doesn't work, or to avoid them. And so it's like relationships get a bit harder now, I think.
Yeah. You came to this when you started the Punters Politics thing fairly fully formed. And it was a bit of a surprise, I'm sure, for people. Like, wow, you can really talk. You can really put a message across. They may not realize there was hundreds of podcast episodes that had happened before that. And you had, been doing this for some time. And you've mentioned it already in this conversation. So if you don't want to talk about it, that's okay. Could you talk a little bit about the faith sort of stuff that you came from and your journey from there? Because it's an interesting path from the kind of the values that started with. I mean, I just got into it. It's school my parents sent me to, but I was about 11 when I'm like, and since I've found kind of secular aspects, secular pathways towards those common values that humans share. Could you talk a bit about how that informed where you are now and how you talk to people now?
I grew up, like, both my parents Christian, and obviously there's
what kind? There's all flavors.
So many different brands. Yeah. So this brand was Adventism. And so it's like, think Baptist, but go to church on Saturday, Seventh-day Adventist.
So that, like, the day, like the Jews go Sabbath.
That's right. So it's got the Jew Sabbath, right? So it's, day of rest. Kind of grew up in that world. And when you're in it, you can see, like, just it's a great pattern for real life. Like, there's the real hardcore fundamentalists, and then there's the conservatives, and there's the progressives, and then so I grew up on a very sort of progressive like, my dad more conservative, mum more progressive. And so within the church you'd go to, you'd be like, oh, I'm a bit conservative, don't do that. So, like, our brand was like, if you're really conservative, you wouldn't swim on the Sabbath. You wouldn't go swimming. Whereas I grew up, everyone's like, go to the beach, yeah, we'll go to the beach. Like, we just wouldn't watch TV or stuff like that.
Oh, is it it sounds very Shabbat, very, like, don't touch your phone kind of?
Yeah, it can be. It depends. It's very loose. And so we kind of grew up on this more sort of progressive end. And from the very beginning, I was asking questions. And a lot of people in my world have very traumatic experiences, like questioning the worldview that they come from, because I think what happens is you get handed a very safe, simple worldview. And I think it can be beneficial. It's like, God loves you. Here's your place in the universe. Here's your identity. Here's all these things, and there's order to the universe.
Here's your path, and here's the rules, and if you follow the rules, guess what's at the end? Unreal. If you don't follow the rules, guess what's at the end? Bad time.
Well, my brand didn't believe in a literal hell, so that helps a little bit, right? Yeah. So you're not burning in hell forever, right? You're just not in heaven. You're just non-existent. You just don't exist.
Huh.
So it's like, okay, you want to exist, go to heaven, whatever it is. But it's also like, you kind of go through and you go, how does this work? And so I'd always sort of ask questions all the time. And I think when people do that, if you grew up in the fundamentals, so when I say fundamentalist, it's someone saying, I'm right, you're wrong, will not change. That's a fundo. That's a fundamentalist. And I think if you're asking questions within that, relationships will die before beliefs change. And that's sad, because I think Jesus as a character was like all about relationship. His whole thing of breaking the Sabbath for relationship was, I think, the point. Yeah. But different interpretations of the text. So I would ask questions. So when people ask questions, they come up against that hard barrier, bit traumatic. You lose your community, you lose your things, you lose your worldview, all those things.
You get ostracized. You
get kicked out. It's really horrific. And then obviously
not in touch with you. Like some people in particularly really hard ones, like they never speak to people again. Terrible.
They can fully cut them off. And then if you're a woman in that space, not great. lots of like purity codes, lots of like body shaming, lots of like subtle things that are not great. But on my side of the fence, it wasn't that bad. Like there was like, a few like no sex before marriage, that sort of stuff, a bit of purity code, but a little bit looser. All the progressives are a little bit, we all know that we're hooking up, but we pretend we don't. But when I asked the questions, I was like, hey, Mum, I think I was like 13 or something. I was like, Mum, do you know that our sect, like we think that we're the only ones in the world. Like there's 33,000 different denominations in Christianity, and we're the ones that got it right? What are the odds? And Mum was like, yeah, well, maybe not. Like there's lots of different things and people have different perspectives and they can bring that to, and I was like, oh. So my world kind of expanded as I asked the questions to essentially like the linear point now where, you get to this point where it's like, what if you can't know? Because there's this certainty that comes with religion, which is comforting and nice when you're growing up. It's like,
solves a great problem.
You know the meaning and purpose of life.
Yes.
And you know where it's all headed.
Yes.
It's super nice.
Yeah.
But then there's a point where you go, it's actually nicer because I'm feeling the limitations of that. It's actually really nice to be okay with not knowing things, like this infinite possibility. And I kind of essentially, long story short, just mapped this whole journey of like, you can follow the religion out of like into progressive, then there's like mystic traditions of like everything, whether it's Islam, whether it's Christianity. And I kind of got really fascinated with some like mystic Christian authors and a few different very open Christian authors that I think have some of the best interpretations of the Bible I've ever heard.
Yeah. That
I think to this day have always stuck with me. And always those pieces have stuck with me where it's like, well, Jesus critiqued empire a lot. Like his whole thing was critiquing empire. This is why Christian nationalists confuse me. Because Jesus was like, like the Roman Empire? Yeah, that's not it. And how we overthrow that, all the Jewish people wanted him to like start a revolution. He was like, no, I'm going to absorb the violence and love, and that's going to ripple through history and be a revolution, a bigger one. Just like this, it is kind of a more radical idea than the Crusades. It's like, no, we're going to kill you because God says so.
Yeah.
So I think there's lots of that stuck with me that gave me a lot more empathy. Like I think I realized pretty early on being like, I don't know what's going on in someone's head, so I can just believe the best in them. And my world's better, my view on humanity's better. I can just try and have empathy for people and assume the best. And it's not only makes my life more hopeful, but I think it makes my interactions with people better. And I don't know, that sort of has been the thread that pulled through to like now where I go, well, why do I do politics and stuff? Because I don't think it's fair that just because my dad did okay as a middle class bloke, that I might do slightly less than like almost to his level. Yeah. Almost. Wouldn't that mean? I just think that's not fair. I see this inequality. I see increased homelessness. I see all that. I'm like, and I'm a systems bloke. So I'm like, we have a government, we have a systems. We can tweak rules to make it better. I'm not saying perfect, but we can change this one thing and we'll make it better for like more people. Why don't we just do that? And that's kind of always been the drive of like, how can't we just make it more fair? And this tradition that I kind of ended up following, just like asking questions and interviewing a whole bunch of different Christian philosophers and stuff. You get to this level where people look at the literature as like interesting poetry and interesting like insight and how it sort of shaped our civilization to things. And it kind of lands in this place where it goes, well, whether you call it God or you call it the universe or you call it this thing, there's this something that pulls. There's this something that we're connected by. Like we are connected on the sense like there's that saying where it's like, we are like an apple is to an apple tree. We are the apple to the earth. Like the earth created us. We are.
Oh, it's Alan Watts.
That's the Alan Watts thing.
It's the earth. It's peopling.
It's peopling. That's
peopling.
right.
Yeah,
and
it's peopling.
And we're sort of connected in that. And how do we sort of connect in that humanity? And I think if people want to look to Jesus and go, hey, here's a person that quite radically said, don't fight back. Absorb the violence. It will cost you greatly personally. But this is what we are called to do as humans, is to absorb the violence so we don't transmit it to other people. And love one another, love your enemy, love those things. Like, it confuses me how Christianity can infuse into a really toxic, tribal, divisive politics. I'm like, have you not looked at literally what Jesus did? So it's like people can, I don't know, I think people can get there from lots of different...
Well, there's parallels in Islam, there's parallels in Buddhism, there's parallels in Judaism.
They all have the mystical arm.
And the thing that someone like Rutger Bregman would talk about in his book, Humankind, would be that, it's if we dedicate some of our energy to looking after our collective, we ourselves will be fine. And by caring for others, we care for ourselves. And it's wired into our biology that we care for others. And that is written in, there's parallels and theologies all over the freaking planet for that. I don't really mind what the name of it is. As long as you're not hurting anybody, it's okay for me. If you want to, follow that, if that helps you out, great, man. But I find that interesting. And thanks for talking about that, because it's part of my background, but also I went through the ridiculing, part before I got sober, and I started to see, oh man, that person's alive because they want to believe in this thing. Doesn't hurt. So me. You pop.
You were sort of in the fundamentalist.
No. But I started to get cranky at people for wanting to believe in a Sky Dad.
That can be the bounce back.
Yeah.
Of like, you get to the like new atheist sort of movement. That's like, you idiot. You believe in a mythical creature? Yeah, you're so dumb. And I think that I never landed there, to be honest. And I think it was because I didn't feel stupid about just asking questions and sort of growing up like that. And I think to what you said, I think when it comes, like, I've had those experiences where I'm like, you are hanging on to this literalistic belief that is politically super toxic. Like, politically, if you vote because you believe that like women and like men are the head of the household and only men should be able to like whatever, I'm like, that's a stupid, and politically that's so toxic to sort of vote on that basis. But there is this load bearing nature to it. And I guess from your sobriety background, it's like, I don't know what it's holding up. And what I've learned is like the people who I might have judged and still maybe judged as being fundamentalists, they're the people that I think you remove that, they're lost.
Yeah.
And don't know what to do. And when people are in those spaces, they turn to dark things.
Yeah, it's true.
And so
I don't want to take that away.
Yeah, it's like,
sure. Knock your socks off, man.
Yeah.
Just, don't, like, as long as it doesn't impede on anybody else.
And that's the challenge.
That's the challenge of the country that we live in.
Yes. That's politics.
Yeah, that is.
Full circle.
Yeah, it is, because you talked about it again, and we spoke about it, the division of, I am this sect of the very same, church. There are secular lines within ideologies that are really violent in some places, and that is also politics, and that gives you a good information of kind of the in-group, out-group thing at which you approach the work that you do now. There's a lot of money to be made in tapping that well of I'm afraid, and I'm interested. I know, because I wanted to. Are you okay if we talk about your experience talking with Carl for a second?
Sure.
Okay.
Have you got a support pillow? No.
Well, yeah, sure. If you want.
No, that's fine.
So I've known him, like, work kind of very vaguely known him. We had each other's numbers, and I've always found him to be a good man with a good heart. I'm interested to know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? How the same person that I know I'm an acquaintance. But he genuinely got on the phone with me and talked with me when I was in a pickle, and gave me that time of his day, that he's got a heart like that to help out somebody like that. And here I am for half an hour letting some person spout some really damaging things without interrupting them, just letting him talk and then publishing it. Okay. I have questions. You went on the show. What was your experience? What was your take on what was happening over there?
Probably half pretty similar to you. And I think this is the challenge when you meet people. I've met politicians, you realize they are genuinely nice people. And the fundamentalists we sort of spoke about, who are the harshest to certain groups of people, if God forbid being gay in a fundamentalist sort of area, it's horrible. But you'll often find that they're the first people to drop everything when someone close to you dies and cook you food for 6 months. Like, it's hard to hold those two things. So it's not surprising to hear sort of that's your experience. Yeah. Because I think all too often now on the internet we become one-dimensional, and Carl's gone down a certain tact with his podcast with a clear sort of, let's say, agenda of some kind. Like I got AI to like group guest things with Venn diagrams in my platform and his, and they didn't. I think I was the overlap.
Wow.
of the like the kind of discussions.
You're the intersection.
Yeah, like it was like corporation, like I'm a corporate power because political corruption. He's like immigration, it's very culture warry, and so it's that version of politics that's very divisive.
Yeah.
And so my experience with him, it's like the whole setup like he originally wanted me to come on and he seemed to try and want to put me with someone else. And I was like, oh, no, let's just have a bro down sort of sesh like this. And then in the end, I like, yep, come on, here's what we'll talk about. I was like, great. And then I rock up and Susan McDonald's there, who's like the chief gas lobbyist for the Liberal National Party, who's just like, she hasn't met a gas lobby talking point she hasn't fallen in love with. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, Carl, you stitch me up here? What's going on here?
Then they send you an email like the afternoon before.
That's right. And then they're like, no, we sent an email on the day before at 5:22 p.m. So the person who helps me obviously isn't working after 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm not checking emails, let's face it. It could be my fault. Who knows? I'll take 20% of the blame. And then I'm like, oh, you stitch me up? He's like, no, I wouldn't. Like, really genuine. Oh, like, boy, like you want, and I'm just come all the way from Sydney, from Newcastle to Sydney. And it was sort of, it's one of those things where it kind of turned into just a shit show, just like a not moderated discussion between two very contentious sort of things. Like, yeah, I interrupted her a little bit and got a bit heated. And then if I would start making a point, the political maneuver, that's genius. It's well done. You just start talking. Whatever they're saying, you just start and you just go. And if it's not moderated, then that's how you get away with it, because you can dominate airtime. So politicians kind of know. It's like, if you ask a tricky question, Sunrise has only got me for 3 minutes. I can wind down that clock easy. And that's what you're up against. And it's your classic playbook of how you neuter a really important personal issue is you make it look contentious. You make it personality politics, and you try and rub the, sounds bad to say, but the stink and the mud of politics and what politicians exude. This is what they do. They do everything they can to sound like they're going to change things whilst keeping everything the same for their donors. This is why they have political speak, because they can't just come out and say, yeah, it's broken, I'm going to try and fix it. And so what they can do is, so that whole setting is just like, let's put just a random bloke, put him next to a politician, he'll look like a politician. They're arguing. Oh, look, people argue. Oh, it's contentious. This is a contentious issue. It's not. Everyone agrees. It's our gas. Pay us what you owe us. It's only the gas lobby fighting it and the politicians at this point. And it just puts you in that situation where it's like not a fun time. It's not really what you want to do. It's like Christmas dinner again. You always walk away being like, why did I take the bait?
So what do you think's the play there?
Well, if we go, like, let's go charitable. Like, he probably believes a lot of things he's talking about.
Wow.
He probably thinks that these ideas should be spread. He probably thinks that this group of people have better ideas than the other group of people. And then when you get someone like me on, see, this is the thing that bugs me about a lot of those content creators he's had on. In their bios, they have like Christ is King. Bugs me. And I'm always just like, mate, when you just pop up an Instagram reel and be like, Albo doesn't pee standing up, what a piece. I'm like, wow, this is super Jesus-y. Like, I'm really getting Jesus vibes from anyway, it's like, that's the worldview it has on. And then when I get on, it's like, I have a debate. Like, it's like, I can't let this guy go unchecked. I can't let this guy's views be said just in a bro sesh.
Yeah.
So there's, I don't know, it seems like there's something there. So there's the charitable way.
Yeah.
Then there's the conspiracy way, going like, there is a playbook in the US that's been played from 10 years now. When you're watching something you agree with, because I do it too. I just noticed one day, I was just really tired. I think I just come home from teaching school. I was like, really open up YouTube, and I just clicked, like, there's some like YouTube commentator that I watch all the time and I just agree with. And I remember clicking his video and I was like, I was like, oh, hang on. That was relaxing for me to do.
Oh, yeah.
And it just made me really realize that just cozying up in that echo chamber, it takes willpower for me to go, well, that's complete BS.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I noticed, but I guess this playbook's always been around.
Yeah.
There is a group of very powerful vested interests that make their money not from the media organization, but from the accompanying businesses that they also own, whether it's gas mines like Kerry Stokes, property like Rupert Murdoch, gas mines like Gina Rinehart, like they have. And those things, black market Sharpie, get profitable, even more profitable when the government makes great rules. So I guess that playbook, why wouldn't it play out in the new media sphere? Why wouldn't they go, oh, shoot, Sunrise is dying.
Yeah.
How do we enter this new space?
Right.
And I've been in this space long enough to know that every billionaire with a pocketbook thinking they're a genius to want to change the world is looking to influence. And if you have influence, that you'll find money. And so there is a clear influence operation going with this rise of One Nation. Like, why is it that they all of a sudden get wall-to-wall TV show coverage? Like, as soon as it's proven that the Liberal Party has imploded, all of a sudden there's a viable alternative in one. All of a sudden, hey, let's go. They're getting like all this airtime, they're getting all this stuff, and they've got, you know, funding ties with, you know, MAGA groups in the US, and they're using different playbooks and certain characters like copy paste over. I don't know. Is it just a new chapter in the same old playbook?
Yeah. Like, I know we want to be crunchy, we want to get eyeballs, but with great power comes great responsibility. And not every, we were speaking about people who just they're not engaged like you or I. They're just like, fine, that's the guy I recognize. He tells me a thing. Fine, I'm going to get on with, I've got school lunches to pack. I've got rugby this weekend. I've got where are we going to have? You booked the caravan park? Like, there's so much going on in people's lives. There's the clearest, you know, 1 minute thing that I've seen on TikTok. Great, that's what's real for me. I'll move on.
That affirms the thing I'm already thinking. That's the key. That's the key. It's like, here's the basest understanding of something. I'm going to double down and make, like, hey, everyone else is thinking it, so you're probably right. And I think what people are looking for, so here's the pitch probably for someone like Carl or anyone else in the space. The pitch is like, the currency now is authenticity. Yeah. With the rise of AI slop.
Yes.
It's just 20% of YouTube I just saw. Or it's coming up and everything's written by, it's all there. We're looking for authentic voices. And that's why we went away from the news media, because we knew that they weren't like overtly lying to us.
When I'm walking through a field and pronouncing Gundawindi Gundy like I grew up there, you believe me.
You should do a video.
I don't want to take the piss, because I feel that is the thing that contributed the most. One of the things that contributed the most to the rise of Trump in the US is openly mocking and satirizing the leaders and followers, because that just, again, if you're chipping away at the foundations of my, you know, reality, I don't care how true it is. You're making fun of them. You're making fun of me. Fuck you. Any chance you had,
I like
out the
them.
window.
Fuck you.
Any chance you had is gone.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do it.
And this is, I guess, when you go, well, what's my philosophy on politics, what I'm trying to do? The machine works, and this is a lesson for the left. You're feeding it. When you react, when you call out, when you respond, when you say, that's not allowed, I'm going to let everybody know.
I'm going to sit in the front of my car on my phone with a green screen of an article behind me crying. You watch how upset I am.
And Murdoch is, or whoever, I understand.
Meta and Alphabet.
Everyone on
ByteDance, rubbing their hands, mate.
This is awesome, because and I think you've nailed it, being like, and this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to, and it sounds like what you're trying to do as well, is saying, like, you know, certain creators on YouTube mock me for saying policy over party. You know, prime ministers call it populism. I call it politics where we're all on the same team agreeing on most things, and it helps, in fact hurts the cause to like mock someone else, to call out someone else, to say, or to do it. I think you can critique their arguments, you can critique the policy, and if we just focus on that, because otherwise there's culture war politics, which are pure keys in the face distraction. Yeah. And then there's the even more lucrative stuff. Would news.com.au report about it? And that's where with this Carl thing, it slipped into that. Because I'm like, Carl set me up. Okay. And then my tribe are like, screw that guy. We hate him. And then the other people's like, yeah, get him. And then news.com.au were calling, being like, so what actually like happened? We're going to run an article. And as soon as you got news.com.au, like these tabloid people looking at it, you know you're in the wrong spot. Because I want to be talking policy. I want to be talking about the fact that Carl and I actually agree. He also think the gas thing's a scam. Yes, he gave a great opportunity to just sort of let the gas lobbyists pretend like they were in for a shot and, you know, whatever. But we all agree on this. So we could infight about all little whatever, but all that does is take airtime away from the thing that matters, getting us paid what we're bloody owed for our own shit.
Oh, mate, there's going to be a point, and I've been saying it for years, there's going to be a point where the stuff we're currently digging out of the ground to give us the quality of life that we have, nobody wants it anymore, either because they're able to get it from another source, or
the price just drops.
The price just goes through the floor because they don't need it. What are we going to do then? I like hospitals. I like healthcare. I like good roads. I like infrastructure. Those things cost.
I like police.
I do.
To protect property.
Very important. I like all those things, and those things aren't going to be able to happen if we don't have that. And we need to be thinking about it. People get The Lucky Country wrong all the time.
I know.
The Lucky Country was a book written in the 70s about we fell backwards down. We were drunk and we fell backwards down the stairs. I can't remember. It was something along, basically, we fell backwards down the stairs at a party. We ended up on our feet. We are lucky.
Yeah. Well, no, the quote is, Australia's a lucky country full of second-rate people who share its luck, whose leaders are so non-curious or something, who are so not curious about the world around them that they are often taken by surprise.
And that was true then, and it's true now.
So true now. That's the best. The thing that is interesting about Australia and how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
We've got to be the most deluded bunch of Aussies I've ever. We think we're this Ned Kelly nation of like, yeah, she'll be right. We don't care. Mate, we are a nation full of Karens dobbing in every next door neighbor we have for doing something we don't like. That's our culture. I'm sorry, Aussies. I've grown up in it.
We twitch curtains left and fucking right. Oh my God, did you fucking... Oh, she's got the wrong bin out.
And we don't just whinge.
Hadn't left the bins out 2 days.
We don't just whinge about it. We create laws about that one thing to regulate that one person. This is why I have to leave the country every year to just reset and realize how much I love this place.
We're very, very lucky. I lived in
So
America
lucky.
for 10 years.
Oh, so
All right.
you've seen it.
I'm very clear about healthcare. I'm very clear about education. And I'm very clear about weapons. Very, very, very clear about mental health education.
Yep.
Because I've seen when those things fall to pieces, the country falls apart. And that is what is happening. You are seeing bereft education, like shit fucking healthcare.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And we've got something unbelievable here and we have to protect it. Ursula Carlson, who I'm very fortunate to know, her line was she talked about South Africa and she grew up under apartheid. I said, what's it like? She goes, I fucking love my country. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to do her accent.
That's a good
But
accent.
she goes,
I like
No,
that.
she would fuck me up. But she goes, well, you love your alcoholic father, right? You just want him to do better.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, like I'm not thinking my country's an alcoholic father, but I love it. But the love it or leave thing is like, no.
Yeah.
I want to say stuff because I love it.
Yeah.
And I want to advocate for change because I love it. Because yes, it's great. And not everyone gets to have it as great as me. And when not everyone gets to have it as great as me, some people become desperate. Desperate people do terrible things. And once that starts happening, things start falling to bits.
Yeah.
And we don't want that.
If you love your house and it's fallen apart, do you just sit there and say positive things about it? Or you get up and fix it?
Love it or leave, mate.
Yeah, love it or leave it. Or you just bloody fix it.
Yeah.
Pick up a hammer, fix it. And that's what I think politics is. And unfortunately, we're at the point now where I do not think like we're at the point of no return. I don't think
No,
we're
we're
at like
miles from it.
We're miles from it.
But if I'm running a news business, I'll tell you we're at the point of no return.
And we like
And you will click.
we are so close.
Yeah.
We are so close to fixing this thing.
Yeah.
Like I've said it before, I'll say it again. We changed two things and our politicians work for us again.
What are those two things?
It's the revolving door.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, it's too naive, it's too hard. If you're a politician and you make the rules for an industry, pretty simple to say you are not allowed to work in the industry you just made the rules for, especially in the management sort of levels there. Go become a teacher, go become a nurse. Hell, I'll pay for you to retrain. And like I was doing a YouTube video recently and the connections I just randomly made just through Wikipedia and Googling, it's all there to see. Old bloke from Labor, previous resource minister, called Gary Gray. He used to work at Woodside. Huh, no way. Then becomes a resource minister, making the rules. For who? Woodside. Then he leaves there and joins the board of APS. APS turns out to be Bayer whatever weapons, becomes a weapons manufacturer. So let's just stop that. How about we just no?
Yeah.
Every single Australian I could talk to on the street would say, yeah, stop that.
I have a non-compete clause. When I worked in television, I had a non-compete clause in my contract. When I finished working at this network, I have one right now with Nova. If I finish working here, there is a time that is you can't
go.
change it. Well, we have it. It's like 18 months. Like to the day, I think. That's when Scott started working at that job.
Well, some of it, it's not a non-compete. Like if you went and worked at a different radio station within whatever time frame, you'd be legally liable. You'd probably have to pay some costs. You probably have to like whatever. I don't know what they would do, but they'd have legal papers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty certain fact checks welcome, citations necessary. It's a code of conduct.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So these blokes here that I've mentioned before, like Martin Ferguson, he's an older resource minister. It was weeks. It was like 2 or 3 weeks before.
Damn.
And he is like a now gas lobbyist. Yeah. So it's not just this one bloke that came to and from. And it's not just the ministers. Yeah. It's the staffers. So I did another video on like why we're getting screwed again. So we got screwed on gas. Why? Because of that revolving door.
Yeah.
Data centers are knocking at our door. big tech, hat in hand, oh, please don't let us pay tax. We're trillion-dollar companies, but we can't possibly pay you tax for your society and infrastructure we want to use. And the connections that are just obviously there between old mate, head of tech or whatever his name is. I can't remember. I should remember. But he used to be a consultant that worked with the tech lobby, everyone making those rules used to work as the tech lobbyist or with the tech council or with whatever it was, and then they go back into government. And do we think we're going to get a good deal when our government needs to go sit on the opposite side of a negotiating table with the most powerful corporations in the world, with the best lawyers in the world? And I'm here saying, Osher, sorry, mate, but the guy on our side of the table, he's friends with them. He used to work with them. That person there, he knows. They used to be at the same company together. Do you think he's going to get us a good deal? And the answer is always no. So that's like the biggest thing. Change that. Prove me wrong. Yeah. I'm naive. I'm stupid. Okay, change that law. Prove me wrong. If it's still shit, I'm sorry. Yeah. I wasted everyone's time, but I think it's a good bloody bet.
What's the other thing? When did you change? You said two things.
Just get money out of politics.
Right.
Like, that's the obvious one.
Yeah.
It's like the fact that we allow donations and then the politicians with a straight face stand up there and say, it doesn't impact our decisions at all. Okay, stop taking it. Just stop. And the fact that companies really want to keep giving it, that they lobbied the Queensland government right now, LNP, so that they could give them money again. Do you think they don't think it works? Why would they lobby so hard to want to give them money again? So it's not the complete picture, but it's part of the picture. Change that. And I think you change those two things, then we can go back to fighting over how many bathrooms we have. How great would that be?
I don't know about that. It must have given you just a buoy of confidence to know how much money the gas lobby had spent once you started the campaign, and it was actually mentioned out loud in the Senate estimates. It was like a couple of $1 million. I
should have pulled that for a reel. That would have been good.
Come and go, all right, this is how this, but that's case in point. That shows that it's something that Australians are getting around, and it's a conversation that it doesn't pass the pub test. I think we're very lucky to have in our country. We're lucky to have the pub test, and the way that you've framed it is very fucking good.
well, and it shows, like, that's a good data point to show the power of us.
Yeah.
And everyone will poo-hoo and belittle like likes and sharing on Instagram. I literally exist because of that. My stuff isn't the funniest, best, whatever. It's that people go, oh, really? Other people need to know. And when they share my stuff, literally everyone who follows me on socials and just engages and likes and comments and shares pushed this topic to have even now Sky News talk about it. Like the kind of money that would take from a lobby group is around $1 million or more. 100 million if you're Clive Palmer, and he still loses. Yeah. Not a great track record.
He ended up supporting it, which is even wilder.
Because he knows it's popular.
Like me, don't like me. Ego.
So that's the power we actually do have. We're sitting on social media for all its problems. It's created a chink in the armor where we can get messages to each other without having to go through the corporate billionaire-backed media machine. So, yeah, like, there's the hope as well. Like, we're pretty close to fixing it, and we have the power to change it. And if we just keep the pressure up, I think we're in for a shot.
There's going to be a lot of movement between now and the next election. I don't think you're going to be able to sit and relax and go on any travels in a hurry, Konrad. You might have to tell your wife to hold off on those travel plans for a bit, love. We've got work to do.
I'll go and come back. We'll I'll take a quick break.
Thanks for coming down, man.
Thanks for having me.